Are you ready to learn how my assistant manages my life? If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lacaba. I've been working from home since I was 15 years old and now run my own virtual assistant agency to XU. And I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so don't miss any of my videos. Now, today is kind of the conclusion of the series that my assistant and I have been doing. We've basically covered how she manages my email and calendar, how she manages my social media, how she manages everything with ChatGPT, and today we're gonna cover how she manages me. That's kind of the biggest thing when you have your own assistant is they get to the point where they're managing you as a person, not just your business. And that's kind of where, honestly, where a lot of the freedom can come in. So I'm gonna pan right through to Honey to give us that list. So Honey, what's the first thing that you do to manage my life?
Okay, so the first one is, of course, review projects. So on the first day of the week, which is Monday, we both make sure that ongoing projects are being monitored on where things are at. From time to time within that week, basically what I will do is to update the task board or the action board on what are the things that should be prioritized within the week, and then what are the things that are actively done, put on hold, or ongoing, and of course for waiting. So that's basically how I manage Leanne when it comes to her project.
Amazing. And this was something that we covered on how we do meetings is that every Monday we have that review of everything else. And honestly, as a business owner, like you know how sometimes I'll forget like, oh yeah, we were supposed to move that forward. So that actually is a really cool thing that you're able to do. What's next?
So the second thing is just do follow-ups. There are things that need to be done by other people within the team. I make sure that after Leanne delegates those tasks, I will then take care of everything from regularly checking in with the person doing the task on where he or she is at. Does that person needs anything from Leanne that I alone can provide? If there's anything I could do to help, down to giving Leanne updates with regards to the task.
And that's something that's really powerful for me because then it allows me to focus on just the things that I'm supposed to be working on rather than chasing other people. That's pretty cool. So next.
So the next thing is just giving reminders. So with Leanne's busy schedule, I make sure to give her some reminders for her to get back on track with things that need immediate action or attention. For example, when there are certain emails that need to be replied to by her, then the following days that email hasn't been replied to yet, I simply tell her that there's an email from so and so. I believe you should take a look since um, they're waiting for approval, feedback, thoughts to be able for them to move forward as well. Then another good example would be just sending agreements to clients, the invoices. So I really ask her how was this, how was that to keep her on track.
Amazing, which for me, day to day, especially when I have a day just full of meetings, you tapping me like, hey, I think you should see this. Or sometimes what you would even do is you just give me the screenshot of the email and I would just send you a voice note message of like, hey, can you reply this way? I'm in the middle of this meeting or going to this next meeting. And that's definitely something that helps me a lot. What's next?
Okay, next one is just arranging schedules. Sometimes there are meetings that are conflicting with one another. So I will be the one who will reschedule by just looking at her calendar on when she's available and then emailing people suggesting if these schedules that I suggested work for them. There are times that it doesn't work at all. So I'll just tweak everything around until it's there. It's all that she has to do is to show up to that team.
And beyond that, you one of the things you even do is when I'm hopping on a call with someone, you research them ahead. So if I forgot who that person was, or if I've never met them before, you give me that briefing basically, which of course is very helpful when I start talking to them. What's next?
Next one would be managing podcast guesting. For the past months that I've been working with Leanne and as her EA, there are information that I alone can provide already, especially with filling out the form for podcast guesting after it was arranged by the marketing team. When they asked for some assets from Leanne, I'll just go ahead and provide those to them. As I've just said earlier, she just have to show up and deliver the talk on that specific show.
Which is another thing that's very important with me being able to show up for either those podcast guestings or even you've done it before where you fill out the actual forms for like speaking gigs or other things that I'm able to do, which again frees me up to and then just show up for the call. Or sometimes I don't even know, like, oh yeah, I have that podcast already signed up, and you were able to take care of it. Amazing. What's next?
One would be managing clients. For every sales call that there are before and after preparations, so I needed to do. So before she show up to the call, I make sure that the important information about the client is being prepared already. Then after the call, I make sure that everything that the client wants to have, like a summary of the report and other deliverables, is being sent to them. And then if they need anything else, let's say if they have questions or clarifications, I just can provide them with the information they needed. Then I'll be the one replying to them back and forth through email.
Amazing. And of course, for me, that helps again lessen the follow up, lessen this stress of like, hey, where are we at on this? You just kind of keep me updated, like, oh yeah, this person replied, this is how I responded, or they wanted to follow up later. I'm able to get to the point where okay, I'm just focused on the business. Showing up for the call, I'm showing up for the call in the best way, and then once they say yes, of course, it's the best feeling. What's next?
The next one would be just managing the leads. Managing leads are just simply checking the action dates or when we should follow up with them or what is the action for this lead. Are we going to send them an email or we just have to just check in with them like, hey, based on the call, you mentioned that we should check in with you to this date, especially if that lead turns into a new client or this lead should be archived already or just totally rejected. In that way, it's all clean instead of having that long list, which is in the long run would be irrelevant already.
Which when I was doing this myself, because we all started doing this by ourselves, is that things would just pile up in the about to call rather than me moving things along in the pipeline. So having you kind of be that second pair of eyes of, oh yeah, this person already said no, like, oh, they said to follow up on this date. So you've make those notes basically that makes it easy for us to, when we're reviewing it on Monday calls, we're able to then follow up with those people, check in with them, or send them additional things to get them on the next call. Okay, what's next?
So would be managing client scorecard. For this, since we did a lot of changes and upgrade, and there are times that applicants tend to fill out that which is supposed to be filled out by potential leads or clients. So instead of Leanne doing the cleanup, I'll be the one who will manage that one and sometimes email applicants like, hey, this is for client, but we have this one for applicants. Like I just kind of send them information so they will not be confused and redirected to the right landing page. After that, I can now easily see and determine who are really our potential leads since it's already been filtered.
Amazing. So, just for more kind of context for people who don't know what a scorecard is, so I think in a few videos back, I talked about the way that we use a scorecard to see if someone is ready for a virtual assistant. We also have a scorecard where people see if they're ready to be a virtual assistant. So, can we understand that it can be very confusing? So, Honey goes into and sees like, hey, this is actually an applicant. Like, hey, you fill out the wrong scorecard. Here's the actual right scorecard. Or even when someone accidentally then books a call with me, even though they're an applicant, she helps clear that up. So she manages that back and forth. And also, of course, now every time there's an potential client who fills up the scorecard, she adds them into our leads database tracker, especially after they book a call or even following up with them like, hey, I saw you filled up the scorecard, you didn't have a call, how can we help? So it helps that continuous flow of communication back and forth with people and making sure that the people who are in the score app, in the scorecard, are actually the right people. And if you guys want to explore more on scorecard, you can check out our own scorecard. It goes to 2xu.com/scorecard, and to sign up for the app that we use, you guys can use our affiliate link, which is basically 2xu.com/score app. So that's the app that we use for it. Really helpful when it comes to managing a business. It gives me context on a client before, and also gives Honey the context before I jump into that call. So, Honey, what's next?
This is the second to the last thing, which is just managing feedback. So I tend to document everything based on the client's feedback for us to track as well. There are times that Leanne would ask me what was the last email that this client sent to us. So I can just basically grab the details stored in a sheet and report to Leanne. So we also use those feedbacks to improve our processes moving forward with to execute.
So this is important because, like for me, like we feedback from different clients, like, hey, can we do this better? Can we add this? And there will be days where I'm just going through all of that feedback just to make sure that there's an action item next to it. And with you going through that, having just that list where I don't have to think about it right now, you just have it stored, really helps kind of free up my brain of like, oh no, I don't have to work on this right now. This can be worked on later at a scheduled time, rather than me always reacting. I can choose to respond. Okay, what's the last thing that you do? Part of the last many things that you do to manage me. What's that last tip that you have?
Okay, so the last, but actually not the least, is just managing Leanne, managing you. So as an EA, I don't just manage her business stuff, I also manage her personal life. If she needs my assistance with this or that, I also do that one. Let's say she wants me to book something like tickets, then send out things for her, get her coffee, and other things like that. And then of course, I also personally check in with her by asking how she's doing and sometimes just being there for her, like cheerleader, and reminding her that she's doing really amazing.
And that's honestly my favorite part, is the fact that you do care, that I see that you care about 2XU, you care about me. You make sure like, hey, did you, I know we've kind of had these discussions before of like, we're able to do this. I'm like, oh, okay, I was overwhelmed, stressed out, and you asked me like, hey, can I take this off of your plate? Is there something that I can do for you? And honestly, that's one of my favorite things about developing this relationship with you, is that we get to that point where you can check in with me, you can ask me questions, and you're also that cheerleader when I'm overwhelmed with like back-to-back meetings or speaking gigs or other thing that's going on in the business. So I'm really grateful for that. So thank you so much, honey, for being game on doing this series with me. Do you have any other last final tips for clients who are looking to have, basically just work with their virtual assistant or executive assistant just like you?
Okay, so for my last tip, if you're a client who is looking forward to hire an assistant, my tip would be just checking in with your assistant, like do follow ups or ask them how they're doing. You just have to like care also for them, not just do the things based on the business, because an EA would be really helpful if you tend to develop that working relationship, because moving forward, you will be working with one another. You'll be sharing feedback, you'll be sharing thoughts, ideas to make the business better. And of course, by developing that relationship, you should also trust your assistant that they will do the work. And moving forward, you will see how they grow and you'll realize that, wow, this is my amazing assistant.
Yay! And yes, you are my amazing assistant. I'm grateful for you. So that is it for this series, everyone. If you guys want more videos like this, let me know in the comments. And if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button also right there. So you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an awesome day. Remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!